Good afternoon and welcome to the Town of Highland Beach Town Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 4th, and it is 1:30. And I'd like to call the meeting to order. May we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Peters,
Present.
Commissioner David,
Present.
Vice Mayor Stern,
Present.
Mayor Moore,
Present.
Town Manager Labadie.
Present.
Thank you.
We could rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I do have one change to the agenda, and that is to move up item 5E, Resolution 2024-014, to be the first presentation. Any other changes? No? If we could have a motion, please.
I move we accept the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving on to resolution number 2024-014. And this is a resolution of the Commission of the Town of Highland Beach, Florida, ratifying the selection, appointments, and term of office of members of the Board of Adjustments and Appeals and providing for an effective date. And we have Jeffrey Gordon, if you'd like to come up to the podium, state your name, where you live, and just a few things about yourself. And then the commissioners may ask you a question.
Basically, I'm a pharmacist, and I work for Costco in Boca Raton. And I was in sell real estate at the time. So we've been living here about 20 years. And there's nothing better than Highland Beach.
Okay,
Thank you, Trent.
So I'm looking forward to being active.
thank you. Great. Commissioner Peters, anything?
Yeah, thank you for applying. The next time I go to Costco, I'll say hi to you. I've been there quite a bit. Right, thank you for giving your service.
Looks like you were one of the first people to move into Toscana.
I was 2004.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, that's about when they were being finished and being inhabited. Your resume looks fine. It's good. You were recommended by a member of the committee, and thank you for volunteering your service. It's appreciated.
Thank you, everyone.
Vice Mayor?
Well, you're not finished.
Sorry.
No, terrific.
Racing today, so I got it. Yeah.
No, terrific. Your resume looks great. It's a great board. I think you'll enjoy it. And one I've been on, and you really make a good contribution by being on it. So thank you for applying. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave.
Yes, welcome and thank you for volunteering. We definitely need people to do this and we really appreciate it, especially having new people get involved. And yeah, I'm excited for you to join and I am in favor. So if we could have a motion, please.
I move that we approve resolution number 2024-014.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion
Now-
carries unanimously. Thank you
you,
very
guys.
much
Thank
and
you.
congratulations. Welcome. Moving on to the next presentation, item A, Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics presentation by Rhonda Geiger, General Counsel.
Hello, everyone. Rhonda Geiger with the Commission on Ethics. Calling this a presentation is a little misleading. Sorry about that. Really, I'm just here to make sure you all remember that we're here, make sure that you all remember that you have to take that local ethics training according to your local policy. Making sure we realize there's no confusion between that and the state requirement. You guys have to do both here. Also, just to remind everybody and thank the local people for coming. Participation at the local level is so important. That's what keeps democracies flowing, and that's what keeps communities working, is involved citizenry. So just as a reminder, we are here to answer questions from anybody, from citizens, from you, from employees. that's our goal, is to be a proactive agency, not a reactive, not a gotcha type agency. We definitely want to answer questions about things before they happen as opposed to after. We'd much prefer to not be reactive if possible. So as we say, ask first, act later. And we are here if anybody has any questions.
Great.
I asked before the meeting if these notebooks you gave us are worth under $100.
And I'll tell you the same thing I said then, is I should pay you to take them. And the paper the pens probably don't work. I had literally exactly 6 pens when I got here and one of them broke and fell on the ground. I had to pick it up. So, yeah, no, you're good on those gifts. No problem. I can promise you that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, do you want any more? I can. All right, any other questions?
And thank you for the little,
Oh.
these are nice and handy and brief, so that's
And I
helpful.
can leave more of those if you
No,
guys
that's okay.
want to
I
have
know
more.
one is good, but I appreciate how brief and
Yeah, it is,
compact
they
it
are
is.
handy, actually.
Yeah.
They are helpful anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you.
Okay, next item, Red Cross Services presented by Johan Reyes. Oh, sorry.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. My name is Joanne Reyes. I am with Disaster Program Manager for the American Red Cross for the Palm Beach and Treasure Coast. I'm just here to say hello and introduce myself. I am the new program manager, so I'm going around every municipality and kind of introducing myself. And just to give a fresh reminder about the Red Cross, all the services that we do. And one of the most common things we do is in disaster relief, we work very close with our fire departments, our towns, police department, and helping alleviate any disaster relief, whether it's a home fire or a big disaster. But more than that, we prepare the community. And so I am in talks with the Chief Glenn to see how we can bring some preparedness to your community to make sure your community is ready for the hurricane season and post-hurricane season. So I didn't know how big the panel was. I only brought one, but I'll give it to the mayor if you don't mind. And then it's a couple of things to read. We do more than just disaster. We do preparedness. And we also have a wonderful branch for the service to the armed forces. We here at the Red Cross, we believe that we have to prepare our community when it happens, before it happens, when it happens, and after. So we have an entire community behind us of volunteers that are here to serve your town or your Highlands Beach whenever we are called. So we are here. We're, a lot of people haven't seen us in a while, so making my rounds and saying hello.
Great, thank you very much. Any comments? Yeah, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. Excellent, thank you. Nice to meet you. Good timing too, as we segue into the hurricane preparedness by our fire chief, Glenn Joseph.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, it's hurricane season again, and we are getting ready. We are ready. We are ready. It's my first hurricane season as your fire chief. Scary, but I think we're there. We're have our plans already laid out, and we're getting the troops ready and getting the paperwork and everything set. So one of the things we did last year, which we updated for this year, was the Hurricane Preparedness Annual Guide, which has all the details and everything. It's on the website, can be downloaded. We have copies in the back if you want to take one with you. But it has all the details of all, so I'm not going to rehash everything that's in there because that's redundant. But you could download it off the web if you're not at the meeting today, and you could certainly pick one up or give me a call, get you more copies for your community or for your building. So one of the things we do in the public safety is we've kind of transitioned from the response to a risk-based response. Risk-based meaning we want to assess the risk and see what the hazards are and then prepare for those hazards. So one of the things for sure that is water is a big issue with hurricanes and any storm. Most of our fatalities around the country, including Florida, are around water. Rainfall, a lot of rainfall in a short period of time, flooding. You saw what happened in Fort Lauderdale about 2 years ago. Bad things happen. Power lines get broken and people step in water with power lines in it. So most of our fatalities around waterfall and water, whether it's a hurricane or it's a storm, a tropical depression. Even during king tides, we have those issues with water, rip currents, storm surge, those kind of things. So we got to be cognizant of those things moving forward and be aware that that's where some of the risks occur. Again, 90% of the people that die in storms die from water-related incidents, which means that One of the hazards we have to deal with on a regular basis is that. So it doesn't have to be a named storm. It doesn't have to be a category storm. It doesn't have to have, it's just a lot of water, a lot of rainfall, or storm surge, or rip current. Could be hundreds of miles away. Because we're an Atlantic facing community, walking the beach and you have a storm in the Bahamas or even in the middle of the Atlantic can cause rip currents. And we kill 1 or 2 people every year on the beach just from that. So we got to be cognizant of that when we walk our family, walk our dogs. Be careful about getting in the surf if it's too rough. So now we know the risk is water. We know we're on the water. We're Barry Island. We have to know that anytime there's a high risk of an event happening, we have to evacuate. Okay, so we'll let you know when that is. The county is going to direct us. We're going to follow the directions, but we highly encourage most of our residents is that you need to plan for an evacuation if there's a storm. So readiness is, you can't be ready unless you have a plan. Okay, so you need to have a plan. So some of the things you'd be thinking about now during our blue skies is, where are my insurance papers? My medications. Do I have enough medication for 2, maybe 3 weeks? Do I have enough cash on hand that if something bad happens and the internet's down, the power lines are down, can I function and get the things I need to stay alive and stay function? So you need to have some cash on hand. Water, fresh water, on the average adult, a minimum of 1 gallon a day for an adult. Minimum. So that means that if you're my size, a little bit more rotund than most, you probably need more than that. All right. And children and pets and all that need water. So you need to plan ahead for those things. Another thing that we're hitting heavy this year is EVs. So if you're leaving or evacuating your facility and you have the ability to move your EVs off the island with you, that's a good thing. Because we saw what happened last year when the electric vehicles are flooded. When we went to move them, they caught on fire. So we really don't want that if you're living in where your parking is in the basement or into your building, or you really don't want that to happen. So unplug your EVs, take them with you, take them off the island in case there's a storm or hurricane. Unplug any chargeable stuff, like even your computer, your scooters, your electric bicycles. If you're leaving your building, either take them with you or unplug them and put them away, because we don't want them being charged when the power goes off, comes on, goes off, comes on, as a surge, may cause a fire. So those are the things we want to think about. Again, your insurance docs, your water, shelters. Now, again, you have to have a plan, because we're going to be evacuating. If we have a storm around category 2 or more, we will be requesting that you evacuate, which means that what are you going to do? Do you want to go to a storm shelter? I have worked storm shelters for the last 30 years. You don't want to go to a storm shelter. As safe as they are, they're not the best living conditions that you're used to in your paradise. So make a plan, which means hotels. You don't have to leave Palm Beach County. You just got to move a mile, maybe even 1/4, 2 miles offshore, and you're good. So hotels are good. Family, your friends, put you up for a day or 2 is good. Your pets. Pet shelters are almost impossible to get a hold of because they fill up so quickly. So if you have a pet that you love and you want to cherish and keep them through the storm, then we need to make a plan ahead of time. All right. Special needs shelters are also, if you have a special need, you need to register with the state, register with the county, and then we will transport you. The fire department will transport you to the shelter when the storm approaches, which means that you have to register ahead of time so we know who you are. And then we'll be able to make that arrangement for you, because we're bringing extra personnel on board to make those transports happen. And they don't happen overnight. So we need to plan ahead with enough lead time to make sure that we're not out in the storm, coming back to the station during the storm happening. So again, readiness means having a plan. How do you connect with your family? How do you connect with the kids? If they're in school, how do we connect with one another? If say your grandma is living in the building down the hall, if we have to evacuate, how do we connect with one another? So you got to have a plan for that as well. So planning is essential. Thinking about it. If you have questions, by all means, give me a call, give Chief Hartman a call. We have this beautiful brochure. It's very colorful. It's got all the nice emergency numbers that you may need to know and have for storms. They're in the back. We have a lot of suggestions for food, medications, those kind of things, to make sure that you're prepared. And then when the storm happens, we will give you direction, either through Code Red, Facebook, the web, Coastal Star, radio announcements. We will stay in touch with you. We'll give you a means of staying in touch with us to make sure that you are safe and your family weather the storm in a consistent, safe manner. Do you have any questions?
Yes, I got one. Most of us are on the board of our associations here. When you do emergency evacuation, do they have to remove? I mean, some guy says, I'm never going to move from my apartment. He could stay there, or do we have to force him out?
We do not have the authority to forcibly remove somebody from their domicile. Okay, so we strongly recommend that they do. If you're in a hurry, say, well, the water's not going to get to me. I'm up 10 stories, 5 stories. All the building services are on the first, second, third floor, which means that your power is going to go off, elevator is going to go off, no air conditioning. Water may go off depending if the pump's working or not. And so you're going to be in a bad situation. And when the storm hits wind speeds of over 45 to 50 miles an hour sustained, we stop all emergency operations, which means that if you're calling for help, we'll tell them to hold on to the shower curtain until we get there after the storm passes. So it's in everyone's best interest, but we will not forcibly remove you. Now, if the building is damaged to the point where we think it's a hazard to the public as well as to yourself, and it's been damaged to that effect, then we'll have to have a special authority given to us by the elected officials like yourself and the town manager to actually remove people if they don't want to leave. And that's going through the building department and a whole bunch of process to get that done. But we will not forcibly remove anyone.
Just comment, the experience that we've had in our unit, those people who felt they wanted to stay, we emphasized what you just said, plus the fact, ask them to have a plan. Like you just talked about. And in the final analysis, everybody did leave, but we did get resistance to that.
And you will. And you will. Last year we had the storms, the people that died on the West Coast. They were all in an evacuation zone. Almost everybody, to a person, they were in an evacuation zone, and they chose to stay. So you could choose to stay. It's a free country. You can do whatever you want to, but we strongly recommend that you evacuate. And if you choose to stay, we will check on you first thing after the storm is over. But during the storm is not a good place for us to be. So if we're asking you to leave, that means we're not going to be out in the storm.
So that means that if they choose to stay, they have to let you know that they're staying?
Yes, usually we would like them to let us know that we're staying. And that's why we're going to roll out Community Connect the next couple of weeks, because we want them to be able to say, that who you are, where you are, and then we could check if you are unable to move or you think you're unable to move or you need assistance evacuating, then we want to know that ahead of time so we can actually make arrangements with you to move you, even if you use a rescue or an ambulance to move you. Or if you choose to stay and that's your decision, then the first people we're going to check on after the storm is over with is the people that have stayed.
Yeah, because I found that in my building, there's always at least one or two who stay. And it's generally not a comfortable situation. If you stay, they say you need to be in a room without windows. Usually that's a bathroom.
Yep.
Or a closet. Most rooms have some windows in them. And it's always the people on the top floors who decide they're the ones who are going to stay. And they can't walk down 17 flights of stairs.
And that's kind of what we see is that the people on top floor say, well, the storm's not going to get to me, the water's not going to get to me, but your services are all on the first, second, third floor. So if your elevator goes out or your power goes out, you're stuck.
And it has been known to happen where windows are broken.
Yes.
So you may not flood from rising tide water, but you may have a lot of damage from wind-driven rain.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so again, it's a safety issue, and I have people that I know people that have decided to ride out the storm in a floodplain, and they ended up holding onto a tree all night because the storm took their home away, and this lady was 70-some years old. She was naked in the tree because the storm water moved so quickly and ripped all of her clothes off, and she was just holding on for dear life in the tree overnight while the storm was raging. So why put yourself in that situation? Make a plan, get out of the way, and come back when it's over. Question? Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Next item, preferred tips check presentation by Christopher Kittleson, Director with Public Risk Underwriters of Florida.
Good afternoon. Nice to see everybody and thank you for having me. I'm here today to present your new fire chief with a preferred tips check. I'll just briefly explain the program. First of all, we're your property and casualty insurance company. So we insure the town, workers' comp, fleet safety, general liability. So in this particular instance, I was working with your assistant chief, Matt, and since you were buying and outfitting your fire department with new bunker gear, we collectively thought that that would be a good item to consider for eligibility. The program basically provides a reimbursement for safety-related items. In this particular case, bunker gear is considered personal protective equipment. And as your chief will attest to, it's very expensive. He's, oh, there he is. Oh, good, sir. Good. It's very expensive.
I'm not very far.
That's good. Thank you. It's very expensive. So what we did is it's 50% up to a maximum of 10,000 per policy period. So you get the maximum check today of $5,000. So we want to thank you for participating in the program and more importantly, being a valued member of the trust and having us take care of your insurance needs. So I'd like to present the chief with the check. You've already had your ethics training, chief, right? And I have a large check. If it's okay, I'd like to take a picture of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
As long as you endorse it and give it to David.
Yeah. Should we all stand?
What's your line of investment?
Can't see the camera, then the camera can't see you. And
I
one,
don't think,
two.
should we get Donovan?
There you go. He's in.
Yeah, okay.
One, two.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you very
much.
much.
Thank you very much. Next item, public comments on non-agenda items, and public comments will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Do we have any public comments today? Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Fred Rose and I live at Boca Highland. Just want to make a comment on, we had that meeting with the county and it was suggested to me, and I sent a note to Marshall, that we contact the Department of Public Safety of the state and let them know the possible hazards that we might have with not only A1A, but as I said at the meeting, Yamato Rock. And the other suggestion that was made by a state rep was contact the Department of the Environment and let them know what the possible damage can be to the environment by doing this. It's just a suggestion, and I think if enough people from the town contact the state, state's bigger than the county, county's bigger than us, why not try it? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Seeing no other public comments, moving on. We have no ordinances today, consent agenda. There are 2 items in the consent agenda. Any discussion on those items? No? Okay, if we can have a motion.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Unfinished business, Building Department Recertification Program update.
Well, good afternoon, Commission. Well, it's been a little while, so we'll give you an update on the milestone inspection, which is both a local ordinance and a state statute. We currently have 5 buildings that have been given very nice certificates in frames now. And that's good news. So about 10% of the eligible buildings have complied. Right now, we are in the middle of reviewing 12 that have supplied everything to us. And we're going through those meticulously to see who else or where we're at. Many of those will have to move on to phase 2, restoration permits, which is when the phase 2 inspections will come in. We have 22 that have submitted documents, but we need additional information. Maybe some of the verbiage was incorrect. They didn't do everything they were supposed to. So we're working with those 22, sent out letters already to them. We have 4 buildings that have basically missed the deadline, and for those, we're starting code cases. We did start one round of code cases on some of those buildings, and it seems like as soon as we start the code case, we immediately get some compliance, which is the purpose of code compliance. And we have one building that basically had, and of those four, three of them basically like submitted one item, but not the other. So they're just, maybe they submitted electrical, but not structural. They submitted structural, but not electrical. And one of them, we just have one that's so far been a rebel altogether and hasn't submitted anything, and that's Evanton Bay down there. We still have 7 buildings that aren't even due yet of the 53. So we're in really good shape, and have about 6 more buildings because their due date's so far in advance. They don't even count. Those other 7, those are due by the end of the year. So they're just not due yet, but they're due by the end of this year. So far we're in a pretty decent shape, except for those 4. And we have a lot of work on our end to go through those 22 that we're looking at. Does anyone have any questions?
Just curious, so that Evanton Bay, the fees are just accumulating? Is that what it?
Well, we don't have a code case.
Oh,
Again,
okay.
We're gonna have a code case
Oh,
against
okay.
them, and then we'll take it from there, but we haven't, nothing. Okay.
Okay. Any questions? No?
No.
Okay, well, sounds
Thank
like you're
you.
making
Yeah.
very good progress. That's great. And we have no new business. So moving on to town commission comments, Commissioner Peters.
I could just want to wish everybody's summer that's here or there. And I just want to thank everybody that came to the county meeting. It was a great event and everybody spoke very well. I know we only had 2 minutes, but thank you for everybody. And it was very passionate with some of the people, what they said. And I'd just like to thank them for coming out. Thank you.
I just want to wish everyone a good summer and stay safe.
Good summer and stay safe. I totally agree. No hurricanes.
That's right, please. No landfall hurricanes. Let them all stay in the ocean. Town manager?
Yes, thank you. A few items. David did pass out our completed annual comprehensive financial reports. Basically, we call it loosely as our audit for the last fiscal year. Everything checked out, clean bill of health financially, no managerial comments, no financial comments, no accounting irregularities, 100% clean. David, thank you to you and Susie.
Yeah.
Outstanding. 2 months ahead when we got this. No problems. It doesn't get much better, or I can't see how it gets much better than that.
So impressive, right? Because everything is cleared up.
We're,
So, I mean, it's super early.
yep.
Super. I mean, it's kind of like surprising. I was wondering if it was last year. or
Right.
something.
Why
Why are
A
you
lot of
gonna-
towns say that. They're
I
like,
know.
what year is this? Oh, 2019. No,
Right.
so we're,
Thank you very much. That's
following the
excellent.
schedule and doing well. Kind of piggybacking on that and kind of foreshadowing what's to come here in the budget season. I know we get worried about hurricanes. I get worried about budget. So David and I are feverishly working on that. I've given him a little bit of hard time this morning just to get things the way I like it, but everything is going well. As I informed you, the property appraiser put out their estimate of values. We're at 8.79%, one of the stronger growth communities outside of, say, like a Westlake, which is a out of the ground community in the west side of the county. But for a pre-existing community, that was really good. So we will get into the budget and we will start in a very strong, as we have each year of the last 6 years I've been here, we're starting from a place of strength financially as we move forward and plan. David and I are spending a lot of time tackling the capital issues, as you would imagine. Sergio's in the room. He's updating our capital program. What does that look like for all of our capital projects and how we, block and tackle our way through next fiscal year? We should know some more from the governor on the two appropriation requests that are sitting on his desk. Haven't heard anything. More time is always better. That means that we're still in the horse race. So as we move through that, we are in great shape, balanced. There's a couple new projects that we'll be talking about a little bit. So look over at the police chief, he knows what I'm talking about. So, and I think we might have opportunities to tackle some projects that I may have to have advised to wait longer. And, our ability potentially to strengthen our relationship with the foundation too. So, seeing the foundation president here, wink, wink, so we can work on some things moving forward. So it all comes together. At our next meeting, David and I will give you a preliminary presentation. What that means is our first blush, here's the revenues against expenses. David will go through, as you know, all of his various assumptions and things of that. But we're in marvelous financial position moving forward. We'll be able to maintain that 5-year forecast and again, be able to hit some of those larger capital needs that we may have had to push out in latter years, and ability to strengthen our sinking fund for public safety and other operations. Because again, as you've noticed, we climbed up and we're slowly stepping down. So we've just gotten more time that step down to plan for the future. So that looks good. And then the last item that we're going to have to probably talk about a little bit quicker relates to code compliance and moving to a special magistrate. I have a special magistrate for us on contract. Usually I would have brought it to you, just a little bit more formal, but I'm anticipating we might have a trouble getting quorums. We have one, I think, coming off, and then 4 that can't get renewed terms. So we're going to have a shortage of code sooner than I thought or expected. So we may need to move into a special magistrate format fast, or a little more quickly than a long planned. How do we want to, what kind of cases maybe stay with the code board? What kind of cases go to a special magistrate? We may find ourselves with a special magistrate for a period of time while we get folks on board for code enforcement and have that discussion more thoroughly as to what we want to do. So we're okay. We'll be able to maintain code compliance, the process. You won't notice the difference. Instead of seeing 7 community members, you will see an attorney that will be the arbiter between 2 sides, render an opinion, finding a fact. Very similar. It's a public meeting. Nothing different, just that you have a lawyer versus the board. But I've got somebody in place, the one that does Boca, Palm Beach Gardens, Jupiter. So well-established, well-respected, to keep us, to have a backstop should, some of those folks drop off, we can't find replacements, and it doesn't look like we will in the period of time. So we will have a board that doesn't have all the folks it needs. So we'll have to start looking at that over the next couple of meetings.
Our attorney attends each of those meetings. Will that person still attend along with the arbiter?
So basically, in a more formalized way, so Adam and Jeff, or just Adam and Mr. Rubin, or one of the other attorneys from that firm will represent our case. And then the defendant will basically have their attorney and be able to present their case and findings of fact. We'll move through. It'll be a little bit quicker. It's less risky for us, and I hate to say it like that, but we've seen some points of risk when you go to a community group, and personally and professionally, I generally don't like residents judging residents. It's kind of a slippery slope. It has some value, but it's also dangerous if you're walking down the street and somebody says, you're the one that gave me the $10,000 fine. That could get a little hairy, but we'll be prepared to handle the cases and decide how do you guys want, it'll direct me how you want to move forward. If you want to, keep more technical, more difficult and challenging cases with a magistrate to protect that exposure to risk. Maybe some of the simpler cases we still keep with the code enforcement board and kind of have that kind of a bifurcated process. I know Delray does it. They've had some success with certain levels, like class 1 violations goes to the code board, but 2s and 3s go to the special magistrate. Especially stuff with fire, some of the higher stuff with building certification and more technical items, you may want someone to look at it that way. So I will be bringing that to you. I just want to give you a little foreshadowing, but we do have somebody in place. So if you get wind that, oh my God, the code board's not going to have anybody, we have a process ready to go. Our code allows us to use either or. So our process won't stop as we have our discussion, because I didn't know that so many folks were coming off that quickly. So We're working on that now. Other than that, hurricane, when that happens, Len Rubin and I are updating all of our resolutions to get everything in place from the declaration. When we declare an emergency, it's for 72 hours. So then there has to be an extension for 72-hour periods thereafter. So we will get samples in place to move all that forward, similar to how we have in the past. If we do have a hurricane, I will be your shepherd through the process to keep you each informed, because as you come back, we all leave, we all come back. As you come back, you'll, as an elected official, you'll get most of the questions. So we'll have our process to keep you informed every step of the way through either a Zoom or a conference call to give updates to you. Also, when you're out there, you can also be our spokespersons to your areas of the community to get the message out and know what's going on. So we will have that process in place and be ready to go.
This question may be for David, but do we have an update on how we're doing on the water usage versus the plan and
Well, what he showed me is we're, David, you come up and I'll just, kind of foreshadow it. The water and sewer fund's in great shape. And based on our assumed rate increases in the last year, and we're dropping some debt off, the debt service millage it will be falling, or we can do some other supplemental things, but we'll have some options, which are great. It's great to have options on the table, but we're in a good position.
Yeah, and to echo what the manager said, yeah, absolutely. So that'll be part of the budget presentation. We do have some debt millage, some debt actually, coming off again. If you recall, this year there was like $375,000 drops off, and then another tranche drops off. But like anything else that the town owns, there's maintenance with it. And when you're talking water and sewer, it's like owning a boat. It's just constant maintenance, and so but yeah, so we'll walk through all of that. We had made some 5-year assumptions. We'll look at really what inflation is doing, because we're still kind of high. I say that the old 3%'s the new 5%, things like that. So we'll look at all that. We'll look at what we actually have. The other thing too that we're doing, thanks to Sergio and his team, is we're replacing those older meters. Those older meters are your cash register, for lack of a better term. And water meters don't speed up like us; they slow down. And so that being said, but we want accurate meters, and there's new meter technology out there. And so we're like replacing them based on age and accuracy and things like that. And so it's all good things, but we have some exciting things happening. And again, I'm toting around to my people at my various conferences how we built a fire station, man. And so this is phenomenal. I mean, you guys really did a great job with that. And we'll start to see the fruits of our labor, right? Come from that. And yeah, it's exciting. It'll be good.
And we'll see it in this budget. So that's why I'm saying we're going to be able to handle some capital a little bit quicker.
Awesome.
Because we're seeing those savings and the ability to control those costs. At kind of the first set of numbers, I was like, oh my God, what's going on here? So, so we're in good shape.
Well, I look forward to the budget season. That all sounds very good.
Water and sewer, I bet, right?
Yes,
Actually,
yes, you know me very well. Yes, I am looking forward to seeing the numbers, actually. So we still have a vacancy on the Board of Adjustment?
Yes.
Even after this? Okay.
I think we have one more, Fred. No, we're good.
Oh,
Just
he
filled it?
did
We're good.
fill it?
So Board of Appeals Adjustment, but I think we have like 3 as of August for code or something like that.
Oh, well. Okay. Okay. So the announcements according to this, and it sounds like it still will be true in the foreseeable future, 1 vacancy for the Board of Adjustment and Appeals, and then a vacancy for the Natural Resources Preservation Advisory Board. Upcoming meetings and events, June 11th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Code Enforcement Board regular meeting. June 14th at 9:30 in the morning, we have the Planning Board regular meeting. And then we have our next Town Commission meeting on June 18th at 1:30. There are no board action reports, and if that's it, 2:10, we can adjourn. Thank you very much, everyone.
This has got to be a record.
I know, right? 2:10?